Okay, we are going to talk about presynaptic facilitation and inhibition. Hopefully this will be a short little video. So the release of neurotransmitters from an axon terminal can be either facilitated or inhibited by the chemical action at an axo-axonic synapse. So that's where one axon synapses with another axon. So it's usually an interneuron that's synapsing with the presynaptic axon. It can either facilitate or inhibit its effect. Okay? So with presynaptic facilitation, more neurotransmitter is released. So the presynaptic axon releases a neurotransmitter that helps depolarize the axon terminal of the second neuron. So we'll look at pictures in a second, so just store that little one away. But presynaptic facilitation, more neurotransmitter released. Presynaptic inhibition, less neurotransmitters released. So the axon that is doing the inhibition releases a neurotransmitter that slightly hyperpolarizes the second neuron. Okay, so let's look at some pictures. And I think I'm going to go to here because there's not as much crazy text as the one on the PowerPoint. So if you are looking at the PowerPoint at home and you want to look at all that tiny little print, it is also on page 52 in the book, and it's a little bit easier to read, I think. So, but you can see in the pictures with the facilitation, more neurotransmitters being released. With the inhibition, less neurotransmitters being released. Okay, so we're going to look at the pictures a little more closely over here. So, in all of these pictures, the interneuron, both of these pictures actually, the interneuron is labeled number 1. And in the facilitation, it's red. In the inhibition, it's gray. Okay, so number 1, that is the interneuron. The presynaptic neuron is labeled number 2. So this synapse is an axo-axonic synapse, as is this one. And the synapse of number 2 with number 3, which is the postsynaptic neuron, is an axosomatic synapse. Okay? Just a little bit of explanation. So, in the first picture, the facilitation, the interneuron, which is number 1, that red one, is releasing neurotransmitter that's binding to the receptors of the axon terminal, the presynaptic neuron. So that's its little neurotransmitter, those little red dots there. Okay, and so that is going to cause increased calcium to move more vesicles of neurotransmitter to be released. Okay, so more neurotransmitter is released to the postsynaptic neuron, and so that's going to create more of a reaction. So the neurotransmitter reaction is a graded reaction as opposed to the action potential, which is an all or nothing. So graded meaning if there's more neurotransmitter, more depolarization is going to happen, more things are going to happen if there's more neurotransmitter. If there's less neurotransmitter, less of it's going to happen. Okay? So in the second picture, it's the opposite effect. In B, the interneuron, which is the gray one, releases an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It causes fewer vesicles of neurotransmitter to be activated. In number 2, less neurotransmitter is released into the second synapse, and there is less of an effect on the target neuron. Okay? So there are a couple little videos, they're pretty short, of presynaptic facilitation and inhibition, and it controls the strength of the synapse. That's the whole point of it. If you facilitate, you make the synapse stronger. If you inhibit, you make the synapse weaker. Okay? So more neurotransmitter releases, it's a stronger synapse. less neurotransmitter releases, it is a weaker synapse. And that is all we're going to say about that.